Imagine carrying someone you love to Jesus, only to discover that you can't even get through the door. Jesus has returned, and people had already heard that he was there. Very quickly, the house became crowded. People filled the room, they stood at the doorway, they gathered outside. Everyone wanted to see and hear Jesus. But somewhere outside the crowd, four men were carrying a man who couldn't walk. And they had come for one reason. They wanted to get their friends to Jesus. The man couldn't get there by himself, so his friends carried him. Maybe they had heard about the miracles Jesus was performing. Maybe they had heard that he could heal people. Whatever they have heard, they believed Jesus was worth reaching. But when they arrived, the door was blocked. There was no way through. They couldn't squeeze past the crowd. They couldn't even get close to Jesus. And for a moment, it probably looked like their journey had come to an end. Think about that moment. They had carried their friend all the way there. They had made the effort. They had the faith to bring him, but the obvious door was closed. And this is where the story could have ended. They could have said, "We tried. There are too many people. Maybe we'll come back another day." But they didn't. Instead, they looked up and they saw the roof. The four friends carried the man onto the roof. Then they began removing the roof covering, piece by piece. They opened a way through. Imagine what was happening inside the house. People were listening to Jesus when suddenly they heard noise above them. Dust began falling. Everyone looked up, and slowly an opening appeared in the roof. These four men weren't going to let a blocked door stop them from bringing their friend to Jesus. They made the opening large enough and carefully prepared to lower their friend down. This wasn't a small effort. They had carried him, they had climbed the roof, they had opened it, and now they were about to place their friend's life directly into Jesus' hand. They didn't know what Jesus would do, they didn't know what he would say. They simply knew they needed to get their friends to him. And then they lowered him through the roof, right in front of Jesus. Imagine the silence inside that room. Everyone was watching. The man was lying there on his mat. His friends were looking down from the roof, and Jesus was standing directly in front of him. Everyone probably expected the same thing, a miracle. They expected Jesus to tell the man to stand up. But Jesus did something unexpected. He looked at the man and said, "Son, your sins are forgiven." Why did Jesus say that first? The man had come because he couldn't walk. His friends had gone to extraordinary lengths to get him there. So why didn't Jesus immediately heal him? Because Jesus could see something deeper. The man had a physical need, but Jesus was showing that he had authority over something even deeper: sin. And the religious teachers in the room immediately began questioning him. They thought to themselves, "Who can forgive sins but God alone?" They didn't say it loud, but Jesus knew exactly what they were thinking. Jesus asked them a question. Which is easier to say, "Your sins are forgiven," or to say, "Get up, take your mat and walk"? Of course, anyone could say the words, but how could they prove that he had authority to forgive sins? So, Jesus was about to give them an answer they could see with their own eyes. He turned toward the man and then he spoke. Jesus said, "Get up, take your mat and go home." And something incredible happened. The man moved. He stood for the first time in what may have been in years. He was standing on his own feet. The room had been filled with questions and was suddenly filled with amazement. His friends were watching, the crowd was watching, the religious leaders were watching, and the man was standing. He picked up his mat. The same mat that had carried him into that house was now being carried by him. He walked through the crowd, he walked out of the house, and he went home. Think about that picture. He entered that house unable to walk. He left carrying the very thing that had once represented his weakness. His circumstances had completely changed now. And what about the four friends? They didn't receive the miracle for themselves, but their faith helped bring someone else to Jesus. They couldn't heal their friend, they couldn't change his body, they couldn't control what Jesus would do, but they could carry him. And sometimes that's what faith looks like. You don't have to have the power to fix someone's life. You just have to be willing to bring them closer to Jesus. Maybe you are carrying someone in your heart right now. Someone who's struggling, someone who's sick, someone who's lost hope, someone whose situation you simply cannot fix. Maybe you have tried everything. You have talked to him, you have helped them, you have worried about them, and you have prayed for them, and still don't know what will happen. Remember those 4 friends. They couldn't solve their friend's problem, but they refused to stop bringing him to Jesus. And maybe that's what you need to do today. Bring that person to Jesus again. You don't have to know what the story will end. You don't have to know when the answer will come. Just keep praying. So, tonight, think of one person who needs Jesus and pray, Jesus, please help them. Give them strength, bring them peace, and let them know you are near. Because sometimes the greatest thing you can do for someone is carry them to Jesus. Who are you carrying to Jesus today? If someone came to your mind while watching this, pray for them and write, Jesus, please help them.